fun for getting.
Thank you.
You know, and it's a stand too, so if you want to do wide, you can always plant below, not on the bar. Haven't done that before, and you know, this microphone is great.
Yeah, I like it. I had your,
Be 4 or 5 feet away.
originally there was like, where do they have a good
I mean, I'll see him coming out
I
too.
really like went to the seats
Well, oh, that.
for a handout. 'Cause I have them.
Most people down there have already picked
Yeah.
workhorse.
For you, that's what I got. That MP42.
One, two. Hey, this is Alex. I'm at HVCA for Jeffries press conference. Camera, cat camera, checking in. I'm on socket 909. Sorry, I was just running. Still. Yes, it's a cat cam. Yes. And mic check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Mic check. Yes. Yes. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Alexander, you need mic check? Do you need mic check? You okay?
No, I'm good.
You good?
It's a
Oh, you're doing a.
Yeah. Thank you.
How you been, man?
Happy New Year.
I've seen you in a while.
Yeah. I wasn't.
I go to Facebook just to see my friends and always check. I always see your posting.
I wasn't working almost 2 weeks.
Hey.
It was expected.
Yeah, I
Expected.
I was the vacation relief guy. I always started working.
They are, but if you needed to do it in a
Yeah.
pinch,
I'm back.
Gorilla Glue or Loctite, and then just,
So Fox.
you could, but if you want to make the hole a little more.
It was good,
No,
yeah.
I
How's
feel
yours?
like
Super glue, just fill the hole
I
of
don't feel that.
the,
I would call
piece that's
myself.
trying to get in there.
Yeah, I'm seeing.
Well, I said,
And
I
then
don't,
just
I don't want to.
this day be part of it.
You know
Just
what I
watch
mean?
watch for
I usually,
I thought we had a lot more
usually
days
when
to
it's
sneak out.
normal, not like holidays, I get like 3, 4 days in a week,
Yeah.
which is good enough.
Just a little. Early, real early on Saturday morning. 4:30-ish. Make sure all of our lights are still on.
And on Friday, I wasn't hired for this week. On Friday, when this happened with my brother, I'm like, oh, am I gonna work next week? Next day, are you going
Hey,
on?
Ryan. Happy New Year. Oh, Andy's back.
How are you? Happy New Year. Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you.
She seems to be late.
Yeah.
Last several years.
Okay, picture.
Ever since the
First things
COVID.
Yes.
I gotta talk to my bureau, but
Okay.
good to see you, man. Yeah, like I said, I always.
Happy New
Happy New
You're
Year.
on Facebook friends.
Oh my
You're
gosh.
gonna be like.
What's her name?
Yeah.
Very cool.
Thanks.
So happy. Oh my God. She's really cute. She's amazing. Oh, the dog.
The dog, he's
really good.
Not quite, well, he's been really good, just does not like when we're all paying attention to him.
Well, of course.
He's like, I was first child.
Yeah, what's going on here? What's happening? Oh, she's
Funny,
amazing.
Andy was like, I think he's realizing he's like demoted. It's like pretty funny. It's like, yeah, you are demoted. That's so funny.
Yeah. Yeah. But usually they get really protective of that, like as time goes
Oh,
on.
and once
they
they,
just up it.
Yeah,
they
Yeah.
start throwing, once we do this all, it's like,
Yeah.
he's such a chow guy.
So she's 4 months?
13 weeks, so it's like 3 and a half, 3 months and a week or so.
Ah, life changing.
Wow, hello.
Wow.
Max is back on our side.
It's more fun here.
Well, we definitely like to mix it up more over here, I feel like.
Max just likes to hound the members and he feels like he can't do it with his dad.
We're not hearing, so he's exit today.
No, I mean, he'll see them on the way down. I was 15 minutes.
I was here and then I was here. Oh, I'm not sitting next to Matt. They were sitting there, please? Yeah. Good to see you.
Yeah.
No, I was on the metro. Yeah. But that was such a like in my little kid heels, I was like,
No, I get it.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
struggle.
and that's what
And I
actually
just like,
know.
it's okay, because I was like, you know what? I have my phone.
They would get it.
So I just
Great.
called them.
I mean, they could come.
But I thought that was so funny. I was like, oh.
Metro at 2 a.m.
Better than when I
I felt
last
so
saw you.
brave.
That's fair.
It was,
I survived it.
it was nice because it was just free, so I was like, you know.
Oh, it was wonderful. Was it a date? You like it? Oh, I missed. Without even realizing. Never met her chief. Okay. Right now, it should just be camera pointing it around. Detecting bias and okay, yeah, that's me. Okay. now I have to quiz them. It's always a record. I have to be like, what record did you get? Basically. It's always Angie.
Anita, I was gifted two new vinyls for Christmas. I got Sabrina Carpenter's Short and Sweet.
Good.
And then I got Joe Perry's album.
Yeah.
But now I didn't get to original.
Bummer. You need to get yourself a good too. You realize that and like play them whenever you want. Yeah. Is that like a suitcase?
Yeah. So I put her on my bedside, like Bibles, and whip her out of the
Well, the guys were looking at me, I was going up and down, talking to you, and they said, hey,
No, I know, one of them.
well,
Yeah, that is nice.
Yeah.
Decisions.
Like, I wish I could see space for my bathroom.
And it does, it actually does.
That's a tough thing about. I'd be upset about that too. I would take a seat.
Okay. My life is really hard.
Like 2 more shelves on Amazon.
and that might,
Well, the thing is like, screwing them into the wall. So she's like officially
That's like the anticipated time. We need a job first. Yeah. That's the big one. Yeah, like we applied to, we helped, we applied to, she's not to, I just watched.
are they, oh, yeah, yeah, right.
And I think there's one that she wants to apply to. So,
Well, I didn't get your Tony because, I mean, some of them said, and I'm still not, lurches sometimes. I mean, this is better than this. Yeah.
this coming Saturday?
Just
No,
have to,
this past.
I know this has 3 different speeds.
Okay, so.
This one's how much was
Girl, we're
in
good.
there, so.
She's done it.
I don't know, this is not, you get like 170, this is probably twice that. I can't remember right off the top of my head. Right. I kind of, it said,
Like, why hasn't I went so long? They were like, this is like,
and I have second one for my,
so loud.
But it wasn't as cool as you.
That's a regular part of my life.
Oh, really?
Give me some.
Mic check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, mic check. So that's every yeah, right, it's just plain.
Good afternoon, everyone. Happy New Year. Trump administration has started 2026 in the same way that they spent all of 2025, unleashing chaos, crisis, and corruption at levels unprecedented in modern American history. The Trump administration has not done a damn thing throughout its entire time in office to make life better for the American people. Donald Trump and the administration and the Republican extremists, they promised all of 2024, when they were on the campaign trail trying to get power, that they were going to lower costs. In fact, it was Donald Trump who said costs would go down on day one of his administration. A year later, costs haven't gone down in the United States of America. Costs have gone up. The affordability crisis is not a hoax. It is very real. Housing costs out of control, grocery costs out of control, utility costs out of control, child care costs out of control, and health care costs out of control. This week, as a result of a Democratic-led effort, the House of Representatives will vote on bipartisan legislation to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits so we can prevent tens of millions of Americans from experiencing dramatically increased premiums, copays, and deductibles this month. Increases that in some cases could result in everyday Americans paying $1,000 or $2,000 more per month. Completely and totally unacceptable in the United States of America, the wealthiest country in the history of the world. House Democrats are going to continue to fight to lower the high cost of living, fix our broken health care system, and make life better for everyday Americans. While Donald Trump and the administration is off starting wars, most recently connected to the unauthorized military action in Venezuela. This wasn't a law enforcement action. They're lying to the American people when they say that. It was an unprecedented military action. And yes, in fact, it is the case that Maduro is a bad guy, a dictator, someone who was not the legitimate head of government or head of state in Venezuela. We also know that the future of the Venezuelan people should be determined by the Venezuelan people, not by Donald Trump, Pete Hegseth, or Stephen Miller. Are you kidding me? These people don't even know how to run the United States of America. And we're supposed to believe that there's any credibility to the notion that the Trump administration is going to run Venezuela, a country of 30 million people in South America? The American people reject the possibility of another unjustified foreign war that seems to be on the horizon because of Trump's desire to reward big oil in the United States of America, while continuing to not do a damn thing to make life better for the American people. Questions?
Mr. Leader, thank you. Happy New Year. You used the term unauthorized and unprecedented, but do you believe the administration's actions in Venezuela were illegal? And if so, what actions are Democrats prepared to take?
We're going to have a conversation with the administration within the hour when the leaders of the House and Senate on a bipartisan basis are going to be briefed at the highest levels by so-called Secretary of Defense, Attorney General, as I understand it, the Secretary of State, the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and the CIA Director. There are a lot of questions that need to be answered on behalf of the American people. So that's the next step that's in front of us right now. What's clear is that the administration took military action without congressional approval. It was military action, not a law enforcement action, despite what members of the administration are claiming right now. And the notion that the American people are supposed to believe that the military action that the Trump administration took had anything really to do with a counter-narcotics effort is belied by the fact that it was Donald Trump just a few weeks ago who pardoned the former president of Honduras, who's one of the world's leading narco traffickers. The former president of Honduras was convicted by an American jury of narco trafficking, of jamming more than 400 tons of cocaine into the United States of America. He was sentenced after being convicted by an American jury to 45 years of hard time in federal prison. Former president of Honduras said he wanted to jam cocaine down the nostrils of the gringos. And this is the person that Donald Trump pardoned? And the American people are now supposed to believe that this whole situation that has unfolded in Venezuela has anything to do with a counter-narcotics operation? Get lost.
Leader Happy New Year. You've been critical of some of the briefers who will be speaking to you this afternoon, Pete Hegseth, Pam Bondi, Marco Rubio. You've also been critical of some of the previous classified briefings you've received from the administration. What's your level of confidence going into this particular briefing that you'll get the answers that you say you and House Democrats are seeking on behalf of the American people, when these are the same officials who have briefed you in the past and you've been critical of the information that they provided?
House Democrats and Senate Democrats, I believe, are going to press every single member of the administration to get the answers that the American people deserve on a whole host of issues related to why this action was taken and undertaken without congressional authorization, and what are the plans moving forward now that Donald Trump says that his administration is running Venezuela. And Donald Trump had the nerve to dismiss the popular opposition leader of Venezuela, said that she was not popular, did not have the support of the Venezuelan people. Donald Trump does not have the support of the American people. He's historically unpopular. And yet he's questioning the legitimacy of who should actually succeed the deposed former president of Venezuela. So there are a lot of questions that need to be answered today by the highest levels of the administration and later on this week when the entire House and the entire Senate will be briefed.
President Trump has now floated the possibility of U.S. intervention in now Cuba, maybe Colombia, and Greenland. Are these issues that you expect to come up at the briefing today?
Yes. And there is no military action that should be taken in Venezuela, in Greenland, in Panama, in Canada, in Cuba, or anywhere else on this globe without explicit approval by the United States Congress. That's our position. And we're going to work hard to make sure that we pass the legislation necessary to deal with an administration that is clearly out of control and not focused on actually doing the things domestically that are designed to make life better for the American people.
With regards to the discharge petition vote coming up later this week, do you believe that if that passes the House, it can actually become law and further bring down healthcare costs for the American people?
Well, House Democrats are working hard in partnership with a handful of our Republican colleagues to make sure that we can move the legislation forward this week on a bipartisan basis to protect the health care of tens of millions of Americans, everyday Americans, middle-class Americans, and working-class Americans. When we successfully move that legislation out of the House, I do believe that a straightforward extension of the Affordable Care Act tax credits, similar to the bill that will be moving in the House, is the one piece of legislation that we know has bipartisan support by a majority of U.S. senators. Every single Senate Democrat and at least 4 Senate Republicans who have previously voted for a 3-year straightforward extension of the Affordable Care Act tax credits. There is no reason why this legislation, upon successfully being voted out of the House, shouldn't be taken up immediately by the Senate and passed. The only obstacle is John Thune and Senate Republicans who want to play procedural games as opposed to protecting the health care of the American people, when they know that a majority of United States senators support extending the Affordable Care Act tax credits and making sure that we protect the health care of working class Americans.
Is there any concern that what's happening with Venezuela will overshadow the work that you guys have on the ACA, the work that you're doing on affordability and other issues like that?
From the very beginning of this administration, Donald Trump and their strategy, their flood the zone strategy, has been to wear America down so they can tear America down. This is not new. This has been the reality of the chaos, the confusion, the corruption, the crisis that has characterized the Trump administration since the very beginning. And we're going to have to continue to navigate our way through all of the challenges that are thrown at the American people, and eventually to end this national nightmare and continue this country's great march toward a more perfect union. We're starting the week. We have to deal with extending the Affordable Care Act tax credits. We will. We're going to confront the administration as it relates to actions that they took connected to Venezuela and the possibility that they're going to send additional troops into Venezuela, which is a non-starter, future military action, a non-starter. Why are we engaging in this kind of aggressive military behavior on behalf of big oil companies that make billions of dollars of profit each and every year at the same period of time when electricity bills in the United States of America are out of control because of what Donald Trump and Republicans did in their one big ugly bill, when they decimated the clean energy economy. And ever since that point, electricity bills have been skyrocketing across the United States of America. And instead of Donald Trump and Republicans focusing on those cost of living issues, once again, we see Republicans trying to reward their billionaire donors, just like they did in the one big ugly bill, while they were gutting Medicaid at the same period of time. Tomorrow there'll be a hearing that we hold to mark the 5-year anniversary of January 6th, a horrific attack on the United States Capitol that was part of the MAGA extremist effort to halt the peaceful transfer of power. And these people in the administration, they want to lecture the world about democracy when they're undermining the rule of law at home, as we all will be powerfully reminded about tomorrow. And here's the other thing that has to happen this week. We're going to make clear to the American people, on the one hand, the Trump administration promised to lower costs on day one. Costs haven't gone down, they're going up. The Trump tariffs are totally out of control. And as a result, everyday Americans are experiencing thousands of dollars of additional cost per year because of the Trump tariffs and the failure to keep your promise to lower costs. Here's what Donald Trump did do on day one. Pardoned hundreds of violent felons who brutally beat police officers on January 6th, and then released those serial criminals into communities all across the country, many of whom have reoffended in horrific ways, including rape, child pornography, and violent assault. And we're going to document all of that for the American people tomorrow, on the 5th year anniversary of January 6th.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. Some members of your caucus have been significantly less critical of Maduro than you just were, and you were in your statement. They've called his capture a kidnapping, and they have treated him as if he's the legitimate leader of the state, whereas both the former and current administrations have said that he is an illegitimate leader of Venezuela. Is it a mistake for Democrats to support Maduro's, not support Maduro's removal from power?
I've been very clear about my views in terms of Maduro, his legitimacy, and the fact that he has clearly oppressed the Venezuelan people. We want a bright future for the Venezuelan people. It's a great country that's been decimated by the Maduro regime. Nobody is disputing that. But no one's also disputing the fact that the overwhelming majority of Americans do not support another failed foreign war, putting our men and women in uniform at risk. And the American people certainly do not support the notion that Donald Trump and his cronies like Stephen Miller, who's a joke and a toxic embarrassment, are going to run Venezuela, a country of 30 million people. Are you kidding me? They're talking about making Venezuela great again. They haven't been able to make America great again. America's a wonderful country. We have challenges that we have to solve on behalf of working class folks in this country. And the Trump administration, throughout this previous year, into this year, has failed to do a damn thing to make life better for everyday Americans. And perhaps they should actually take heed of the fact that the American people, in election after election after election, are rejecting them, rejecting their extremism, and embracing the Democratic commitment to addressing the affordability crisis, as opposed to Republicans continuing to jam their failed extremism down the throats of the American people. Things just continue to go from bad to worse as it relates to the administration. Hopefully this week, as a result of Democratic leadership, in partnership with some of our Republican colleagues who are prepared to do the right thing on extending the Affordable Care Act tax credits, we can deliver some good news for the American people.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. You said that the future of Venezuela should be determined by Venezuelans. What exactly do you mean? Are you calling for new elections in Venezuela?
Listen, the top line principle, which should not be in dispute, is that we need free and fair elections in Venezuela, and the future of the country should be determined by Venezuelans. And we know that there will be many Venezuelan Americans here in this country that have a substantial interest and stake in making sure that they bring about a bright future in Venezuela. We support that in its entirety. But that cannot mean continued military action that's rogue, that doesn't seek congressional approval, and that seems designed by Donald Trump, who explicitly, I think more than 24 times over the last 48 hours, Donald Trump has referenced oil in Venezuela, more than 24 times. And That's not something that the American people are interested in seeing. Lives lost from our men and women in uniform and involving ourselves in another quagmire similar to what happened in Iraq and Afghanistan. That's beyond dispute. The American people aren't with it. House Democrats aren't with it. And the last thing in the world we need to see is the Trump administration running Venezuela. Focus on the American people and actually solving the many challenges that we have here in our country, which you have failed to do since being inaugurated on January 20th of last year.
Thank you, Leader Jeffries. The president said he didn't notify Congress of the Venezuela operation because Congress might leak it. What's your response to that?
Yeah, that is an outrageous assertion because Donald Trump and the administration, and this is going to come up at the briefing that we're getting ready to have, because Secretary of State seemed to suggest that as well yesterday on Meet the Press. If you have a responsibility to notify Congress, or at least a subset of congressional leaders, that's there for a reason. It's because Congress, particularly the House, is the institution closest to the American people. And in the context of the United States Constitution, it's the Congress that has the sole power to declare war. So the Constitution isn't a matter of inconvenience. It is a requirement. George Washington, in his farewell address to the nation, made clear that the Constitution is sacredly obligatory upon all. That's what George Washington said. That means everybody. There is no Trump exception to the United States Constitution. And there's no evidence that the Trump administration has ever presented of congressional leaders being briefed in a classified setting and that information then being leaked in a way that undermined America's national security interests. The question that we're dealing with right now is, how was this military action taken by the Trump administration going to advance the national security interests of the American people? We still don't have any answers as it relates to what should be a fundamental guiding principle whenever this type of extraordinary military action is taken.
Congressman Ryan, Pat Ryan, and some other members of your party have insinuated that the Trump administration, Secretary of State Rubio, lied to Congress in December about the administration's war aims in the last all-member briefing. Do you believe that the administration has lied?
The administration certainly is going to have to try to reconcile its prior statements that were both publicly made and made directly to Congress, that regime change was not an aim of this administration. That's what they said. Regime change was not what was behind the military strikes that have been taking place off the coast of Venezuela for the last several months. While at the same period of time, over the last several months, they were planning this extensive military operation. And so, it's a very reasonable question that needs to be asked: did the administration lie to the United States Congress by saying that regime change was not a goal, while at the same time they were preparing to go get Maduro and execute regime change? And that certainly is going to be what the Congress is going to confront, at least on the Democratic side, the administration about 30 minutes from now in that classified briefing for congressional leaders, and later on this week when they come before the entire Congress.
Question on the three-bill minibus that was released. What are your thoughts on that? And is it a sign that Congress is taking power of the purse back from DOJ? Seems like a lot of the Democrats are rejecting.
Yeah, we'll have, Rosa DeLauro did a tremendous job. Democratic appropriators working in a bipartisan way did a tremendous job. I haven't had an opportunity to review the package in its entirety, but it's supported strongly by Rosa DeLauro for very sound reasons. We'll discuss it on Wednesday morning as a caucus, but it's on a very positive trajectory.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. Happy New Year. You mentioned the need for action and a response from Democrats, possibly legislation. Obviously, 3 Democrats last year introduced war power resolutions. Some of those could be coming up for a vote. I'm curious where you, I know you still have to talk to the caucus, but stand on those. And on government funding, there's still a defense appropriations bill. Are House Democrats having a discussion of possibly demanding withholding funds, who knows what else, in that bill to get support, Democratic support on that funding bill?
Well, we'll cross the bridge with respect to the defense appropriations bill when we get to it at some point soon. We got to get these 3 current bills that will be on the floor later on this week through the House over to the Senate, and then if there's bipartisan support in both chambers, to President Trump's desk. But I think it certainly, is the case. There's real concern as it relates to the need for congressional action connected to our sole power to declare war. No further military action should be taken in Venezuela or anywhere else without explicit congressional approval. And we need to legislate that, because otherwise we certainly cannot rely upon the administration simply to do the right thing. It's going to be interesting if they try to maintain, and the Attorney General apparently is going to be in this briefing, that this is a law enforcement operation. Explain to me, I'm trying to figure this out. This is a law enforcement operation that involved an elite unit of the military, Delta Force. It involved at least 150 different military planes, aircraft, and helicopters. It involved dozens of naval ships off the coast of Venezuela. It's action that apparently involved thousands of troops in different ways throughout the region. It involved direct military strikes in Venezuela. And we're supposed to believe this was a law enforcement action? Make it make sense. It does not. It was military action without explicit approval by the United States Congress, which is why the Congress needs to act this week. Thanks.
Thank you, Leader. So with the removal of Maduro from office, do you believe that the United States and Venezuela are in a safer place than they were before, or is it worse?
It remains to be seen what the situation is going to be in Venezuela, because the Trump administration has no plan. In fact, Donald Trump's plan is to say to the American people, he's running Venezuela. Marco Rubio or Pete Hegseth or Stephen Miller apparently are running Venezuela. Come on. That is not a serious statement. It's a very dangerous one. And the American people want no part of the Trump administration running a different country. It's in violation of international law, the notion that the Trump administration are going to run a sovereign nation of 30 million people in South America. And so the future of Venezuela is uncertain. And there's chaos, there's danger, there's uncertainty, there's crisis that may befall the country if the situation is not managed correctly. The future of Venezuela should be determined by the Venezuelan people, period, full stop. In terms of whether America is better off, America would be better off if Donald Trump and the administration decided to actually focus on making life better for the American people, as opposed to the chaos, the crisis, the corruption that we continue to see and have seen in this country since day one of Donald Trump's presidency. House Democrats are determined to make life better for the American people. We believe in this country, when you work hard and play by the rules, you should be able to live an affordable life, a comfortable life, live the good life, not too complicated. Good paying job, good housing, good health care, good education for your children, and a good retirement. We need to lower the high cost of living. We need to fix our broken healthcare system, and we definitely need to clean up the corruption that we continue to see in real time from this administration so we can deliver a country that actually works for everyday Americans. Thank you, everyone.